Imagine, your child is terminally ill. The doctors shrug their hands. I'm sorry, but there's nothing we can do. Most people would accept such a situation. Someone would look for a miracle, someone would pray, but in the end they would just wait for the inevitable. But Martina Rotblatt was not the majority. She didn't just find a cure, she created it. Without medical education, without scientific experience, being an engineer and an entrepreneur, she founded a company, developed a drug, and saved not only her daughter, but thousands of other people. But she didn't stop there. What if death shouldn't exist at all? What is it? She asked herself. So a new stage began. 3D printing of organs, uploading consciousness to a digital network, artificial intelligence that can preserve a person's identity even after death. Does it sound like fiction? Maybe, but for her, it's already a reality. So who is she? A genius who pushes the boundaries of what is possible, or a person who is playing with what is beyond anyone's control? It all started in 1994, when fate confronted Martina Rotblatt with an unspeakably cruel reality. Her little daughter, Janessa, was given a terrible diagnosis of pulmonary hypertension. This disease, in which the vessels in the lungs narrow to such an extent that the heart is forced to work at its limit, quickly leads to overload and, eventually, to cardiac arrest. Doctors gave little chance of recovery, and traditional treatments proved powerless in the face of such a devastating disease. At a time when most parents were just accepting the verdict, Martina Rotblatt made a decision that changed not only her life, but also the future of medicine. She looked the doctors in the eye and said decisively, "I don't accept that answer." She already had substantial capital earned as a result of her breakthrough project, the creation of the Siriusm satellite radio system, which turned the music industry upside down. However, money was no longer a measure of success for her when it came to saving her daughter's life. With this determination, she invested in a new, daring idea. That's how United Therapeutics came into being, created with the sole purpose of developing a drug that didn't exist. Imagine this, a person who does not have a formal medical education, who does not have knowledge in the field of pharmacology, decides to embark on the path of studying medicine. Martin hired the best specialists, invested in research, and immersed herself in complex issues of biology and chemistry. Thanks to perseverance, bold decisions, and an innovative approach, after a few years she managed to release a drug that really worked. Today, drugs developed under her leadership are saving the lives of thousands of people around the world. But for Martina Rotblatt, this was only the first step towards creating a new medicine that could change the perception of the limits of what is possible. Her story is an example of how personal tragedy can become a spark for global change, when determination and faith in the possibility of a miracle overcome all obstacles. After saving her daughter, Martin couldn't stop there. Instead of allowing herself to breathe a sigh of relief, a new, painful question was born in her soul. What if the disease has already managed to destroy one of the vital organs? Where can I find a replacement capable of restoring vital functions? Every day, millions of people around the world die not because their bodies completely fail, but because one critically important organ fails, the heart, liver, or kidneys. Imagine that the human body is a complex, highly precise mechanism where every detail is crucial. If it were possible to simply replace this part, like an automobile's spare part, a person's life could last much longer, and the risk of sudden death would disappear almost completely. Thus began a new revolution in medicine. Today, United Therapeutics, founded by Martin, is actively working to create organic substitutes using 3D printing technologies. A special bioprinter carefully applies layers of cellular tissue, building from them a fully functioning organ identical in structure and function to the patient's organ. This approach not only ensures perfect compatibility, but also minimizes the risk of rejection, since the organ being replaced is created from a person's own cells. If 3D printing of organs is still under active development and improvement, there is another breakthrough method, xenotransplantation, or transplantation of animal organs. Already today, this method is demonstrating its effectiveness. In 2022, a pig's heart was successfully transplanted into one person, and it functioned flawlessly. Such achievements open up incredible prospects. If these technologies continue to develop rapidly, the need for donated organs may become only a distant memory. Imagine a future where if a person needs a new heart, it will be ready to order, like a part for a complex mechanism. If a new liver or kidney is needed, they will be available as high-tech spare parts. Death from organ failure will cease to be a sentence, and life will last for years or even decades. However, all this concerns only the physical shell of a person. What about what makes us truly alive? Our mind, consciousness, and memory. After all, if we learn how to replace organs, giving the body new life, the next logical step is to preserve and transfer the very essence of the personality, its soul and thoughts. This question becomes even more complex and intriguing, opening up to science the line where physical reality meets the unknown world of consciousness. If you can replace the heart, liver, and kidneys, why not replace the brain? If a person can live longer thanks to organ transplantation, then the next logical step is to preserve not only the body, but also the mind. After all, what makes us us? Memories, thoughts, feelings, character? Martina Rotblatt is convinced that if you create an exact digital copy of the mind, transfer the personality to an artificial environment, it will become a new form of immortality. While medicine is fighting to prolong the life of the body, it is already thinking one step ahead about how to prolong the life of consciousness. Her first experiment in this direction is immortality. This is not just a chatbot, not a set of prepared answers. This is one of the most ambitious attempts to create a digital copy of a human. immortality is an artificial intelligence created based on the thoughts, memories, and speech patterns of her wife, Bina Aspen. To create this digital mind, Bina talked about her life, shared stories, answered questions, and recorded her emotions and reactions to various events. All this was uploaded to a neural network, which is now able to conduct a conversation like a real person. She remembers moments from Bina's life. She can answer questions the way the real Bina would answer. She is even able to analyze information and draw conclusions. But here's the main question. If he speaks like a man, remembers like a man, behaves like a man, is that him already? Can we say that consciousness has been transferred? If immortality has all the same information as its prototype, if it remembers events, experiences, emotions, knows its favorite music, movies, and can even joke in Bina's style, then what's the difference? Where is the boundary between imitation and authenticity? In fact, we already live in a world where a digital version with human exists. Each of us leaves a mark on the internet, social networks, correspondence, photos, videos. Algorithms can already predict our tastes, our thoughts, our desires. Imagine that in 100 years someone will be able to collect all this information and create a digital copy of you. A neural network that will think like you, talk like you, react the way you do. The question is, will it really be you? If your digital double can answer questions based on your memories, if he can keep up a conversation, reason, tell the stories that you have lived, if he can even feel emotions, happy, sad, nostalgic, is this a copy? Or is it already a new form of life? Some believe that even if you create the most accurate digital copy of a person, it will not be him. After all, consciousness is not only information, but also something more. Personal experience, intuition, something that cannot be conveyed through algorithms. Others believe that if we can convey everything, memories, emotions, patterns of thinking, there will be no difference. It will be a new, digital form of human existence. What do you think? Where is the line between a living mind and its digital reflection? Martina Rotblatt has revolutionized not only technology, but also her own life, breaking down stereotypes and proving that the limits of what is possible are just conventions. In the early 90s, when dogmas and rigid ideas about what a person should be dominated, she took a fateful step. Being a successful businessman with solid capital, having a strong family, a high position in society and an impeccable reputation, most people sought to maintain the status quo, fearing to lose everything that had been built over the years. However, Martin decided to violate these limits and stated, "I'm a woman." In those days, such words were perceived as a real shock, something unacceptable and almost insane. For her, this was not a whim, but a sincere expression of her essence, a bold statement that everyone has the right to determine their identity, despite social prejudice. This change was not just an external transformation, but a symbol of the rejection of conventions that had held back the development of personality for a long time. Her example proves that change is possible in all aspects of life. If earlier it was believed that gender is an unchangeable given, today Martin demonstrates the gender, it can be changed. If illnesses seemed like an insurmountable obstacle, now it becomes obvious. Diseases, they can be defeated and cured. If the human body seemed to be something completely natural and inviolable, Modern 3D organ printing technologies and xenotransplantation confidently speak. Organs, they can be created, printed, replaced. And finally, if consciousness was considered elusive and inaccessible to change, today the ideas of digital immortality and uploading the mind to a computer prove consciousness. It can be saved, transferred, digitized. Martina Rotblatt didn't just change her life. She broke down the walls that had limited our understanding of human capabilities for centuries. Her story is a vivid proof that there are no limits for those who dare to challenge traditions and follow the path of innovation. This example makes us wonder, is there really something that we cannot change or improve? Where does the framework of human nature and the space for previously unthinkable discoveries begin? For centuries, death has been perceived as an integral part of human existence, the final feature separating life and eternity. We are accustomed to believe that our path has an end, and any attempt to resist this natural order causes an admiration for the inevitable. And what if this line ceases to be insurmountable? Modern advances in medicine and biotechnology are already opening the doors to a world where organ replacement or even the creation of artificial bodies is becoming a reality. Imagine that every part of our body can be replaced or upgraded as easily as replacing a part in a complex machine. Organ transplantation, the development of artificial prostheses, and 3D printing of tissues are already offering hope for life extension, but what if we can go further and rebuild the very essence of our physical existence? An even more radical idea is to digitalize our consciousness. The technologies of neuroscience and artificial intelligence are developing rapidly, and the question of the possibility of downloading the mind into a computer is no longer pure fiction. This prospect promises not only life extension, but also the opportunity to experience epochs, despite physical limitations. However, this raises the question, if our consciousness exists online, will it remain the same as before? Will we preserve our individuality, emotional depth, and sense of belonging to humanity? This leads us to a dilemma. Is such a breakthrough a step into a brighter future, or a dangerous experiment that could turn into a nightmare? On the one hand, eternal life and unlimited development opportunities can become a new stage of evolution, allowing people to overcome physical weaknesses and start a new page in the history of consciousness. On the other hand, such drastic changes can disrupt the balance between man and nature and lead to unpredictable social and ethical consequences. We may be faced with a choice: to preserve the traditional understanding of life or plunge into the unknown, playing with forces that remain a mystery to the end. Ultimately, the question arises, will we still be human if we can change or even completely replace our body and mind? Perhaps this is the essence of our quest to preserve spiritual wealth and humanity in the age of digital transformation. Each of us has to decide how much we are willing to accept these changes and what price you are willing to pay for the possibility of eternal existence. What do you think? Are you ready to take the risk and upload your consciousness to the digital network, preferring a new stage of evolution? Or will you preserve the traditional understanding of life with all its limitations? Leave your comments, subscribe and like. Let's figure out together where our world is heading and how technology will change our future.